efficiency and make all sorts of massive cuts. So I think it's clear from the post that he made tonight that he was holding back last week when he indicated his lack of support for the bill or his mild displeasure. The post tonight or this afternoon was very, very strong, and the concern, of course, has to be whether or not that emboldens Republicans, in addition to Rand Paul and Ron Johnson in the Senate, to not vote for the bill.
Jeff, NBC has learned that among the possible reasons Musk has attacked the bill is that it cut electric car tax credits. Do you believe that?
You know, I don't have any reporting on that, but it's hard to believe that in a way because, Musk has not spent the last 4 months encouraging Trump to stand up for the electric car business. I mean, other than having the president buy a Tesla, he had, and the president has said this as well, Elon did not spend his political capital trying to get the president to embrace climate change policy, for example, or to embrace the business essentially that Tesla was in part created for, and that is electric cars and providing vehicles for people who don't want to use a gasoline vehicle. So I don't know. It's I don't have any reporting to back that up, Steph. But you asked me if I believe it, and all I can say is the evidence from the last 3-4 months would suggest that that has not been something that Elon Musk has used his political capital on when in the Oval Office, when on Air Force One, and when with the president.
Okay, but Sam, wasn't the devil always in the details, right? When Elon Musk created Doge, you saw Elon Musk. I remember doing an interview on Joe Rogan months ago, and he was pretty clear, like, yeah, we're going to have to cut Medicare, Medicaid. He's the one who said the Social Security system, I think said, was a Ponzi scheme. And after he said it, all these Republicans were like, no, he didn't mean it. This wasn't the case. Elon Musk's position was always, he thought Doge could cut $2 trillion because he wanted massive cuts. And so is this sort of the rubber hitting the road, what Elon Musk's vision for what Trump was going to do and what Republicans were actually willing to do were never aligned?
Yes. And I hate to say this because this might be the first time this has ever happened, but I disagree with Jeff. I actually do think that some of this does have to do with his bottom line. He was out there on Twitter saying and noting that the tax credits for electric vehicles are not renewed, and so that this was favorable to gas vehicles, for instance. So he's been public saying it, but also you get a sense just watching his utterances and reading some of this reporting that he recognizes he took a huge hit financially for joining the Trump administration. Much of this was is his own doing, right? I mean, he created this, he created Doge. He was public about it. He caused a backlash. He acted erratically. That was what engineered the protests against Tesla. But his bottom line took a massive hit because of his public service. And I think that's really affected him. On top of that, I think there was a bit of personal humiliation too, Steph, because I think that's what you're getting at, which is he came in promising $2 trillion, then it was $1 trillion. It was $100 billion. And I think he's embarrassed by the fact that Doge was a failure. In this vehicle, at least he can say, well, if they were just to follow my lead, Doge would be a success. But they're not doing it. So he's passing the blame here a little bit to Republicans, when in reality, this is a reconciliation vehicle. So there's very little they can do with respect to discretionary spending. Let me just add one last thing. I do think it will be effective, his opposition, for one reason. It's not just the money he has, which is intimidating for a lot of these members. It is intimidating. It's the platform he controls. If you go on X tonight and you look at Stephen Miller defending the White House's proposal, just read the comments. I mean, I know it's just a microcosm and a snapshot and whatever. It's not real life. But read the comments below Stephen Miller's post. They are almost universally wondering what the hell the White House is doing from the conservative perspective. So I think there's a megaphone that he brings to the table that cannot be discounted here.
And that's one of the reasons Republicans have been kissing his ring, living in fear of him. I keep thinking about the fact that wasn't Trump's ultimate goal for Truth Social, which, again, makes next to no money, to have X buy it. I can't imagine Elon Musk is looking to buy Truth Social tonight. And he also posted this, Leanne, in November next year, we fire all politicians who betrayed the American people. That tweet to me does not sound like he's headed back to Austin, Texas to bury his head in electric cars and rockets. It sounds like he's going to continue the battle, but he might not be on Team Trump. Are Republicans not worried about that?
So it's an interesting dynamic. I think what Elon Musk did today, I think the reason it hurts Republicans is because what he did in his tweet is he helped Democrats make the argument, right? I think that is where he's having the most political capital right now. You had Hakeem Jeffries say, I agree with Elon Musk. You had Chuck Schumer saying the same thing. Elon Musk has already created a lot of campaign ads for Democrats, and he's going to continue to do so. But also, Elon Musk personally is quite toxic among voters. We see that in polling. We saw that in the Wisconsin Supreme Court race a couple months ago. And so, when I talk to Republicans, they think that Elon Musk's money is not as powerful as they once thought because of what they saw in Wisconsin, because of the split with Donald Trump. And what's really impactful is where Donald Trump's comes in. And if Trump comes in behind Elon Musk's money, then that's where it makes a huge difference. But if there's a dichotomy and a fissure between the two, it's going to be fascinating to see if Elon Musk continues to put a ton of money behind Republicans that he supports, and that if Donald Trump puts money in his endorsements behind Republicans that he supports, which might be different. And so maybe this is the beginning of a major split within the party. But, we're going to have to see. I think that this is going to be a storyline that has many, many developments between now and midterms 2026.
But isn't it almost a double whammy, Sam? Because Doge, if you're somebody who's absolutely concerned with debt and deficit, Doge didn't actually cut very much money. But what it did cut was tens of thousands of jobs that the American people care about, that the American people need.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Doge created chaos. The cuts that it had were to federal employees and to USAID. We're seeing a rescissions package sent to Hill that's targeting public broadcasting, for instance. These are not major items. Let's be real about it. Doge didn't really do anything when it comes to long-term deficits and debt. It was a failure. It was an objective failure. And I think that's probably feeding what Elon's doing right now. The other thing I think is obviously worth noting is that if people really did care about the deficit and debt with respect to this bill, Elon is not focused on the real driver here, which is that it's an extension of the Trump tax cuts. And that's what's driving the deficit and debt in this bill. I mean, they make cuts to Medicaid in the form of, $700 to $800 billion. It's the tax cuts that are costing. But no one on the right is talking about, well, maybe we shouldn't extend these taxes, or maybe we should raise the rates a little bit on the high-end earners, which is what Steve Bannon had actually suggested but was dismissed. That's not part of this conversation. So some of this is a bit of kabuki, I think.
Leanne, Rand Paul is saying at least 3 other senators agree with him about the bill. What do you know?
Yeah. So, there's Rand Paul, who's angry at the debt limit, that the fact that they're going to lift the debt limit by $4 trillion, which, by the way, is the most it has ever been lifted at any one time, something that Republicans would be apoplectic about if this was a Democratic president asking them to do just that. And then you have Senator Ron Johnson, who is annoyed with the debt limit, but even more annoyed with the fact that it does not cut enough to the deficit and to the debt. And then you have people like Mike Lee, and then you have people on an entire other spectrum of the Senate who are worried about cuts to Medicaid, like Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Josh Hawley. And so Rand Paul might have three people supporting him. Well, there's also 3 people on the other side, too, who aren't necessarily as worried about the deficit, but are very worried about those Medicaid cuts. And so, like anything, it's going to be a very complicated puzzle for Senator John Thune to figure out. And it's going to be his first very big test, Steph.
All right, here's another test or another task. Jeff, let's talk about trade, because the White House is now asking other countries to make their best trade deal offers by Wednesday, or else. You were at that press briefing earlier today. I mean, what leverage does this White House have demanding this of other countries?
Chắc nó về gì? Tiếp theo thì ở trên phải thì mình sẽ lựa chọn tô màu cam. Rồi tiếp theo thì bó hoa mình sẽ lựa chọn tô bó hoa màu vàng nha. Mình sẽ tô màu xanh. Rồi, vậy là mình đã tô màu hoàn thiện xong bức tranh về cô gái đang đi du lịch. Thì các bạn có thể tham khảo qua cái tô màu này của mình. Video tô màu này cũng hết. Hẹn gặp lại tất cả các bạn trong video tô màu tiếp theo nha.